It's time for another Fire Emblem character guide.
It's time.
Hey guys, welcome back to XepherGames. I'm Jake, and today we're going to be doing a Fire Emblem character guide on a very special little character. Well, she's a quiet looker, isn't she? And she's also a dragon, in case you somehow missed that, so I think there are more than one fanboys of Tiki out there. Now, she is actually originally from Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, but since she's a Manakete and they live a freaking long time, she actually reappears in Fire Emblem Awakening. Now, the whole story behind this is rather complicated, but the long and the short of it is, she got put to sleep by the dragon thing, whatever, Naga, who is actually her mother, and she got put to sleep, so she's like afraid of falling asleep for too long, and I don't know exactly, whatever. The point is, she used to know Marth, so when she sees Marth, she calls that character Marmar, which is her stupid name for him. Now, all this stuff is rather unimportant, but I just wanted to go over the basics of who the character is before we start focusing on all our stats and stuff. But now that we're done with that, let's focus on the stats and stuff. Let's take a look at her growth rates and classes. Okay, so here we're looking at Tiki's growth rates, the base growth rates, and all the bonuses from the relevant classes that she can change into. So, as you'll notice right away, she has excellent growth rates. 80 HP is crazy. 40 strength and magic is good for both of them. I mean, they're absolutely good, but the fact that both of them are that high makes it really crazy. Something like a Dark Knight or something else, I don't know, but like that's the only one that really uses both. Skill is pretty good. Speed is pretty good. It's not amazing, it's not our best thing, but still, it's not bad. 50%, 45% at worst is not bad. 80% luck is what makes her so freaking crazy, because it will go up almost every time, giving her an amazing luck attribute, and you guys know how I feel about luck. 45 defense and resistance, that's just the icing on the cake. What the heck? It's like her highest growth rate other than HP and luck, which are just unfair. And that's something really crazy. Like, have you ever, I mean, you probably haven't because you're watching this, but I have hardly ever seen defense get that high, especially unmodified. Ugh, nuts. Alright, so looking at the other classes, Manakete should obviously stand out right away as being like an amazing class for growth rates. It gives you plus 20 strength, plus 50 HP, as high as it gets, plus 20 skill and speed, and plus 15 to each of the defenses, which is pretty much unheard of. That doesn't happen in other classes. So, you can take that all to mean that Manakete is an excellent class to level her up in, and you should absolutely take whatever opportunity you can to level her up in that class, no matter what build you're going to use, and I have a couple to talk about later. Mage and Sage is decent, especially if you want to get her magic up there, because, you know, it won't go up nearly as fast in something like Manakete as Mage or Sage. Dark Knight is very well balanced all around, but overall you'll notice that it's almost completely inferior to Manakete. The only real upside is that it has a higher magic growth, so it's nice if you're going for the build where you want to be using both swords and magic, but it's, you know, but Manakete is still overall better. Wyvern Lord, Wyvern Rider, Griffin Rider, they're all pretty much the same. They have slight differences, but the basic stuff gives you a lot of extra strength, which is great. And that's it. Otherwise, Manakete is better. Now, as I would go into in just a minute, you will probably need to go to some of the other classes to grab some important skills, because Manaketes and Togwells don't really have good skills. That's not their strong suit. Their strong suit is being really strong, but the skills have to come from without. So, let's get right into that. So, when talking about Tiki's classes and skills, there are two major options to look at here. Now, the one is the obvious route, and having her be a Manakete in the long run, because the Manakete class is super powerful. Did you see those growth rates? They're insane. Plus, she gets when they're using Dragonstone pluses, or whatever the fudge they're called, she gets even more powerful, and it's crazy. Really defensive, really powerful on the offense. Not the fastest class, but still, it's very powerful. Very, very scary class to go up against in competitive. Now, I was gonna tell you guys what competitive means. What I mean by competitive is either playing against really super hard opponents in the like DLC chapters, because there are a couple chapters that are just really hard. But I'm also referring to the Street Pass, where if you Street Pass another person, you get to fight against their team, and some people are going to go all out and make ridiculously powerful teams that you'll have a hard time beating. So that's what I mean by competitive. You're competing against your fellow players, and to a lesser extent, the ridiculously hard boss battles. Anyway, so yes, Manaketes are a force to be reckoned with. The other real choice is to have her focus more on her magic, because as I mentioned earlier, Manaketes only use the strength attribute. They have no need for the magic attribute, which is unfortunate, because Tiki has an amazingly good magic growth for a strength unit. So it leads me to think, oh, well, we should use some kind of class that uses magic. Now, the problem with that is Sage and Mage aren't really that good, and so, you know, it makes me think, well, there's not that much to see there, but there is one class that really stands out as a good endgame option for her, and that is Dark Knight. Now, why do I think that? Well, because I am Batman! Sorry, I had to make that joke eventually. I mean, they called it the Dark Knight class, so I had to make a Batman joke at some point. I just put a t-shirt on my face and said I am Batman, but I still had to do it. You get the idea. So, anyway, so Tiki would make a good Dark Knight because she has both good magic and strength growths. This means that she's well suited to a class that uses both swords and tomes. Now, this makes her a really good offensive class. This is her offensive build, for sure. This is what you want to do if you want to be an offensive striker type character. Now, let me describe each of them a little more detailed. Okay, so for the Manakete build, you're going to want to change her into a Wyvern Lord at some point because of a very annoying item that enemies tend to have called Worm Slayers, which are super effective against Manaketes, which means that they're really bad for your business. Now, Wyvern Lord has a skill called Swordbreaker, which gives you plus 50 hit and plus 50 avoid. This is how all the breaker skills work. Plus 50 hit and plus 50 avoid against swords. Now, this is how they all work, so I'm not going to explain this again. Anytime I say Swordbreaker, Lancebreaker, Axebreaker, Tomebreaker, that kind of Bowbreaker, that's what I mean. It's all the same skill, except it works against different kinds of weapons, okay? So, Swordbreaker, very helpful for Manaketes. So, it's almost a necessity to have her go and get that skill. Now, if you're playing the defensive type for her, another good choice, the defensive being Manakete, I would also probably grab Lancebreaker from Griffin Rider, which also gives you, what is it, Carrier? I don't remember. But which gives you plus 2 movement when someone is paired up with her. So there's some bonuses to that. I mean, like, mostly focus on getting Wyvern Lord done, and then if you have time or if you feel like it, do Griffin Rider too. But it's better to get a lot of her earlier levels in Manakete because she has better growth rates in there. Now, for the Dark Knight build, this one's a little trickier. Now, what I like to do with it is to turn her into a kind of loner type unit. And by loner, I don't mean she doesn't have anyone paired up with her. I just mean I don't want any other units within 3 spaces, because she has access to a number of the skills that use that qualifier thing, like Tentative and Focus. So, Tentative being a Wyvern Lord / Rider skill, not sure. and focus being a sage skill. So what you're going to want to do with this one is, if you really want to make the loner type, you're going to have to change into a wyvern rider as early as possible, grab that skill, then once you get to level 10 again, switch over to mage and start leveling it up and turn it into sage. Get to level 15 sage and then change into dark knight, and then you should be done. But that's a lot of work. So another option is just to level her up to level 30 Manakiti. She starts at level 20, by the way. And then change directly into sage, get the Tome Fair at level 15, and then swap into Dark Knight. That's probably the fastest choice, as it gives you a lot, as it gives you, you know, you only have the class change, what, twice? Whereas with the other system, you have to do it like 2 or 3, 4 times maybe. It's kind of obnoxious, and you don't get as many levels in the Manakiti class, which is where she has the best growth rates. So that's probably your best bet. Now remember, everything I've said applies to Noe as well, because she has more or less the same exact class system. Now her growth rates are different, but the classes are the same, so you can use the same build strategies. Her stats are pretty similar, just make it up as you go. It's pretty much the same thing. Okay, so the last and quite possibly the most important thing for Tiki are her supports, because she's kind of really limited. Now, she's not as bad as I thought she'd be. When I first saw her as a playable character, I'm like, she's gonna have like 2 supports, right? No, she has like 6 or 7 supports, but only 1 S rank support, and that's with my unit. Now, normally I complain about that because my unit is a very valuable commodity, as you well know. But then again, when I thought about it, my unit is actually an excellent pairing for Tiki, so I can't really complain too much. Basically, if they have a kid, the child can be a Manakiti as well. Now, that child will be Morgan, because Tiki doesn't have a unique child of her own. She only will have a child with my unit, because my unit has a predetermined child they will always have. That's why she can only support with my unit. Now, turns out that this is really helpful for Morgan, because she makes an amazing Manakiti, and I actually made a little side video. You can find it right here. It's unlisted. You can only see it if you click the link in this vicinity. But that'll show you my thoughts on how to make Morgan into an absolute beast, with my unit and Tiki as parents. Now, like I said, Tiki is rather limited, so if you're planning to use Tiki, you should probably have her S rank support with my unit. But it's also possible just to get her a couple A supports with like Lucina and I don't know who else. I didn't even pay attention to who her other supports were. It's not important really though. Just get a support with whoever. Basically, if you have any units that use both strength and magic, that'd be great. Or if you're going for the more Manakiti build where you don't really need the magic, anything with lots of speed and strength and defense, all great, all great. So, okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Glasses adjust. Yeah, I still know about that. Anyway, so if you guys want to see any other characters, please post in a comment below. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions about Tiki or Noe, I'll accept both for this episode. Even Nah, I suppose. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, anything about that, or my show, thingy, leave in the comments, or leave a thumbs up if you like the show. Show? Why do I keep calling it a show? It's just a freaking guide. Shut up. Who am I talking to over there? I don't know. See you guys next time.